Okay guys, so in this video we're going to look at how we created a letterhead in class. And again, if we go to open up our Word documents from down at the bottom, if hopefully we've pinned to the taskbar, if not, go over to the left hand side here and open up Word from there, or search for it in the search bar and it should open up. So when I open up Word, I'll come across this screen here. And really what we're trying to do with a letterhead is, if we don't have the hard paper copies that we would stick into our printer and print off, we can create one which we can then use to send to people via email, and it becomes a really useful tool. So to do that, we want to insert our image and maybe our address into the header and footer, because this will just help it sink in with the document a little bit better. And to open my header and footer, I go to the top of my page and I left click twice, and that will open up the header. And this will then give me a few options, okay? But up here we'll see we can insert a picture. So I'm going to click on insert a picture. And in here there's a few of my pictures that I've had, screen grabs. So the picture that I want isn't going to be there. The one that I want to use from is in my documents, and it's going to be in my Explore folder. And I might use this Happy Friends logo, which is one that was created with one of the guys on the course earlier in the week. So I'm going to click on Happy Friends logo. If you look at the snipping video that I had sent on as well, you'll get ideas about how you can do this. So this gets inserted into my header. Now at the moment, that's too big for me to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click. So watch how your cursor goes. You can see there as I go on to it, it begins to change from I suppose a skull and from a compass into my arrows. And if I left click on it when it's like this, down at the bottom right, I can now begin to make that a little bit smaller. So again, a bit more maybe appropriate to the sizing of a header. So once that's now in my header, I can begin to position it. And a bit like the video which covered our memo, if I go back to the home screen on my ribbon, I can now go into the paragraph and I can click center. And now I have my Happy Friends right in the middle of it. So that would be the first part I would like you to do to get your logo or to get your image on it. If we then scroll down to the bottom of the page, so again, if you're using a mouse, you can use the little scroller on it. If not, come over here and left click and drag down. Or if you find that difficult, if you just go to, I'll open up my screen a little bit more here, sorry. If you just go to the arrow key at the bottom here and we scroll down to the bottom, okay, we can then double click and our footer will open up, okay? And when we have our footer opened up, we then just begin the process of sticking in our address. So in this case, it's going to be Happy Friends, Unit 2, Ballymount, making this up, Dublin 22. Okay, so that'll be the first part of it. What I then asked students to do was to insert a symbol. Because we want to insert a phone and we want a phone number and we want to insert an email. So if I go up to insert, up here at the top of my ribbon, I left click on insert. If we go all the way across to the right, you'll then see symbol. So if I click on symbol and I go to more symbols, yours will start off, if it's your first time using this, as normal text. So you'll see a screen like this. If on the font, if you just type in wing, W-I-N-G, and hit enter, it'll then bring you into Wingdings. And this will give us a few more symbols that are a bit more commonly used. Okay, and you can scroll through the Wingdings down here as well if you want to find some different ones. All right, but in this instance here, I can see a telephone symbol. And this is the one that I want to use. So I'm going to hit this telephone symbol and I'm going to click insert. And you can see a phone has come in there. So I'm going to close that. Now I actually don't want my phone number to be here. I want it to be on the line underneath. So I'm going to left click to the other side of the phone. I'm going to hit my enter bar. That will bring my phone back down. I'm going to use my right arrow to bring me back to the other side of that phone. And then I'm going to insert my number. So 01 453 7724, or whatever that number is. I now want to insert my email address. So I'm going to again hit my enter. I'm going to go back into insert, symbol, more symbols, and my windings should have stayed up this time. I'm going to use this one in the middle, the envelope, as my email. So I left click it. I know this is the one I want because it's now going to be highlighted in blue, so it's ready for me to insert it. I left click on insert, and then I can close that, and my email is popped up here. So now I can type in my email, happyfriends@yahoo.ie. Okay. So when I left click out of this, so anywhere into this space above, it'll automatically close my header and footer. And if I scroll out now, I can see that I have my header and I have my footer there at my address. And I can play around with these options as much as I want. So we might not like this notion of Happy Friends being centered and the logo on the top, but this not being here. We might want this over the right hand side. So again, if I left click twice at the bottom of my footer, you'll just see here if I highlight all that, so left click and drag and highlight it, I can again go to my home screen and move this either into the center or to the right hand side. All right, and I can play around with that. If I want to make this a little bit more narrow, so I don't want it to be as big as it is, I can begin to, I'll just center this to make it a little bit easier for everybody to understand. I can maybe tidy up my address. So I'm going to press delete here so that my address becomes a little bit more compact. And I'm going to press delete here, delete button, and I'm going to put a couple of spaces in it. And now this has become a bit more compact. So again, that's just formatting it using less enters and just spreading it out as much as you want. So we might be quite content now with our header looking like this, and our letterhead looking like this. And if we are, I would recommend you would go to File, up here on the left hand side, left click, Save As. I'm going to go into my Explore folder, which I have down here. I'm going to call it Explore, I'm going to call it Letterhead. I'm going to save that. Okay, so I now know that that's saved as letterhead in my Explore folder. It was also suggested that somebody didn't want to have it at the bottom, they wanted everything on top, and of course that's perfectly fine. And the easiest way of doing this, and it's I suppose more of a cheat, there may be better ways, but Word is there's many ways to kind of I suppose use Word to our advantage. So if we want to have this on the left hand side and our address on the right hand side and leave it at that, my advice to you is to come down to here, highlight this, right click, and then copy your word. So we don't want to delete it just yet. When we come up to the top, if we left click on the other side of this Happy Friends logo, and then we right click and press paste, or paste this picture would be fine either way. Okay, this will bring it into here. Now we might want this to maybe look like that, and that's suiting us fine. We've got a picture underneath it and everything's neat and tidy. Or we might decide to put our Happy Friends on the left and this on the right. And how we do that is if we right click on our logo and we go to wrap text, and if we even put it behind text or tight to text, because we've pasted this as an image, the writing, and we'll have a bit more flexibility. But if I move this as left click and tight, I can now move this over to here and anywhere I want on the screen. Okay, so I'm going to in fact move it up to here. And I'm going to do the same with this. I pasted this as an image. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to wrap text and I'm going to put it tight. And I'm going to move it up. In this case over to here, I'm going to have to make this a little bit smaller. But over to here. And if I left click out of that, I would now have my logo up there. So this is just a nice way of adjusting it. If we wanted to make this a little bit better, I might center that again. Left click out, and then I've got my happy friends and my logo. It would probably be easier if instead of pasting that as an image, that I had pasted it as text. I would have had a bit more flexibility with it, but I can show you that again in class. So now that I have that exercise done, I'm going to go down to my bottom. I'm going to open him up, so left click twice, highlight him, and delete him. I'm then going to close my header and footer up here, which is the alternative way of doing it. And now if I zoom out, you'll see my letterhead with my logo on the left and then my contact details on the right. And anytime that I want to use this document, I'll be able to plow away, dear parent, and off I go with my letter or my note, and I have that there, and that will print off in your printer. Thank you.